Coalition has pledged a multi-billion-dollar investment for regional Australia if the Coalition wins next month's election. For more, we're joined by Shadow Trade and Tourism Minister Kevin Hogan and Federal Member for Page. Thank you very much for joining us on a Saturday. Yes, so how do you think the Coalition is going, and what are your thoughts on this new announcement?
Well, look, cost of living, two things from that question, Janie. The first one, cost of living is the big thing in the election. So what I'm finding is the more that people find out about our cut in the petrol tax, that's going down really well. You know, people, when you tell them they're going to save $15 at the petrol pump, they're quite excited about that. So that's really important. But to your second part of your question, look, I was very proud to be a Nat MP on Thursday when we announced the Regional Australia Future Fund. What is it? It's going to be $20 billion set aside with $1 billion dividend every year to go into regional Australia. And why should that happen, Janie? Why that should happen is regional Australia, and Shadow Trade well over these figures, regional Australia sells 2/3 of Australia's exports. So coal, iron ore, gas, food, all comes from the regions. None of that comes from the cities. So we're going to apportion some of the revenues that we get, when excess revenues that we get from those exports, to put into this fund. Because, Janie, you may know, I know you would know, a lot of people wouldn't know, if you go to some regional communities, they might have a doctor for every 10,000 people. In the inner cities, it's a doctor for every 500. We need better roads, we need better childcare facilities and things that we don't necessarily have the critical mass for the private sector to provide, so they need assistance to do that. And we deserve it because regional Australia is driving the economy of Australia with all the exports that we do.
We also need more housing, and that is a big issue, and I believe there's going to be a few announcements this weekend. Can you give us any sneak peek on that?
Janie, I can't, otherwise the Shadow Housing Minister would not be happy with me and would be giving me a call straight after this interview. But what I can tell you is that, you know, already we've announced that $5 billion fund to help with civil construction for, you know, councils when they've got to do new roads, new sewerage, new electricity into these new developments. We're going to give them $5 billion set aside for that to build 500,000 new homes. So that's been announced. I've got councils here chomping at the bit if we get elected to have part of that. But, Janie, I always make the point when I'm asked about housing to talk about our wonderful convoluted federation of which we have local government, state and federal. Most important level of government for housing is local government, and I have Green councillors in my area who have never ever voted for a new housing proposal to build more family homes or homes for families. Never. They wear it as a pride, a badge of pride that they never vote for that. So we need, you know, the Greens opposition to, you know, building new homes, building new apartments, which they have across the country, which is holding things up. They have red tape, green tape, all this type of stuff to build more homes. So that has to be fixed as well at that level of government.
I just wanted to quickly ask you, we just had an interview with Jane Bremer, the Chair of Toxics Free Australia. There's mixed reactions on this energy to waste incineration project taking place in parks. Speaking to people in parks, there's also 10 projects at the moment across the country, and we're seeing that, you know, it's going to generate enough power for thousands of homes per year, a big capital investment for parks of $1.5 billion. It's going to be more expensive, we believe, and more polluting than coal and gas. Why is this going to be taking place when we're hearing places like Chris Bowen's electorate and Richard Miles's not having these incinerators in their place? Why should parks?
Well, good question. And look, I'm not over all the details on what you've just said, Janie, but look, you know, if I heard the interview that you just said, I get, you know, that different regional populations have problems with saying they have to have it if no one in the city wants it. Yeah, well, thanks. And they shouldn't have to have it if they don't want it. And I also heard the concerns that previous interview raised with the emissions and with other issues with it. So I think they're all questions that need to be answered. I don't have the answers to what you're asking me there, but I certainly share the concerns of your previous interviewer.
All right, yeah, so certainly need to look further into that. But Kevin Hogan, we've got to wrap it up. Take care, have a good weekend, and we'll hear more on that housing policy, no doubt.
Thanks, Jane.
Thank you.